All right, let's give this a go and then just have some fun. And welcome aboard, everyone, to the first episode of this One Piece Appreciation Podcast. Thank you so much for being here and sailing with us today. My name is Dane Peavy, and I'm watching through the anime of One Piece for the very first time. And joined with me on this amazing experience is going to be someone with an extensive knowledge and passion for all things of this high sea universe. And to help me unpack my first and most likely my only watch through of this anime is my special co-host. He is a walking encyclopedia on all things anime. He is certainly a lifetime member of the Straw Hats pirate crew. And you can find him in all things on all socials at Iknownato. So Nato Johnson, how are you, my friend?
First up, it's definitely not going to be the one and only watcher of this podcast.
Mate, I assure you it is. Okay. I assure you it is, my friend.
No, that's what they all say.
True, very true, very true.
Catch up, and then because they've had that like, I've been able to just binge this anime, and then when you finally catch up, you can't binge it anymore, and you get the itches and the scratches, and you're like, oh, I can't do this weekly anymore, and then you'll join the rest of us going right back to the start and starting your watch through again. Oh, mate, it is certainly a journey. And I guess today we are talking about the first episode of a podcast that we have created. And it is going to be a podcast of basically us having a bit of a riff, having a casual chat about One Piece, everything about it from your experience as someone that has watched it for many years. And as I said, it's been a lifelong fan of yours, and your knowledge on the area is very extensive. Me, I know nothing. I know very little. I'm watching this for the first time. It has scared the shit out of me for so long as to how big it is, as much I am a anime fan. But I am on this journey now. You've slowly cracked the seal for me over a long, long time. See, we have to stop it there. Like that's the mindset.
It is.
Gotta change.
We do need to change this breakthrough.
Where it's like, oh, I see way too much, and it's like, when do you ever look at an adventure and be like, oh, it's too much adventure? It's like, think of your favorite thing in your life and your favorite TV show, and you always wish it's like, oh, it was cancelled way too soon, or it should have gone for so much longer. Well, welcome to One Piece, the one that just keeps going for you, and you never cease to. It just keeps getting.
It never ends.
Each season.
Yeah. I love it. So look, a little bit about the podcast. As I said, we're going to be having a chat about my experiences as the first time, Nato bouncing off in regards to his long, extensive experience on it. And I guess a good place to start is, how did we really get here? So, Nato, do you want to tell us how the bloody hell did we get here?
Anytime I even smell the tiniest little bit of One Piece discussion or anime discussion with somebody that hasn't watched One Piece, I'm like a shark smelling blood for 30,000 kilometers away, and I'm slowly sleeking further and further in, and I'm like, so, have you heard about the gospel of my sweet Straw Hat boys and girls?
You are very good at that, my friend. And it certainly worked for me over a long period of time. I feel like it's one of those moments, like it's that whole Paul Rudd meme, where they're sitting there over the hot wings just going, hey, look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. And it certainly wasn't me. And I remember I've got that documented when I was back on that the podcast of our good friend Brendan White from the 8-Bit and the Hungry Gamers, where he had the podcast and he still has the podcast. Go check it out. More Than Hentai, where I was on there. And I said to Brendan, when we were talking out all things of love of an anime, this is the one that I wouldn't be not watching. And here's a little bit of a clip from it. So since Dragon Ball and Death Note, then it flowed on to like Naruto. And so Naruto is a massive time sink in there. Full disclosure, Nato, I'm sorry, mate. It's not going to happen. Please stop messaging me, mate. It's not going to happen. I haven't gotten into One Piece. I've watched a fair bit of it. I think a lot of us are giving it a go, but it's just I don't have the time. I can't do it. I can't catch up. I'm so sorry, mate. And there we go. So we went from there. I firmly said that I would never watch it, but here I am. And as of today is the time of recording, so that's the 10th of May. I'm about 70 episodes in, and look at me go. And this is the reason why I wanted to get on the podcast with you and start these recordings as soon as possible, because I don't want to drift too far away. And I guess that...
You still want that fresh kind of, like, discussion about the, like, episodes that you still have memory of.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
500 episodes in and then have to talk about the first 10 episodes of the show.
100%, 100%, mate. And look, I've always known One Piece is one of those ones where, in my mindset, and I think it's very common, I would say, for many people that watch anime and love the anime genre, is you either were on board in the early stages or the train has left the station and it has gone way too far down the track and you're basically just too hard to catch up. So I guess I had a bit of that analysis paralysis, I guess you could say, where I was sort of looking at this going like, nah, not for me, would love it. Because everything I've heard, you're either someone that's on the fence of going, no, I haven't watched One Piece, or if you have, you just haven't broken through that barrier, versus someone that is a massive fan. Like, I've never ever met anyone that has watched a huge amount of One Piece that wasn't a big fan. You know, and when you start talking to people...
And people look at it the wrong way where it's like, oh, it's only super fans. It's like, it's just because everyone who watches One Piece becomes a super fan because it's that good.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, I just didn't know why. Why was it so good? Why is it this massive phenomenon that everyone that really dives into it really loves? So I want to unpack that with you. I want to share my sort of experiences, and that's part of this podcast. We'll have a chat along the way, and things are going to really hit home, and they already have. But at the same stage, there's things in there that haven't hit me, and maybe they will later. Who knows? Yep. But I do know, like, when you speak to people about One Piece, it is this massive storytelling and character developing anime, which I love. Like, like, for the people that know me, and you know me very well, Nato, I'm a big DragonAll Z fan. Like, I'm a big Naruto fan. It's a slow burn. You know, there's always about that character development.
Ask you a quick question.
Yeah, mate.
You're a big Dragon Ball Z fan.
Yes.
Did you ever get into Dragon Ball?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Ball is very One Piece.
Yeah, is it?
Like, and I love Dragon Ball, and I love Dragon Ball Z as a kid, but I do not like Dragon Ball Z as an adult because it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't really hit any storytelling or adventure. It's just fight boys, fight boys, fight boys, which is what some people want from their shonen and anime and stuff like that. But I want a bit of adventure and story, and that's what Dragon Ball is, where it's like, we're going to journey around Earth to find the Dragon Balls. Similar to, like, an expanded version of the Namek saga in Dragon Ball Z. Like, that's very Dragon Ball-ish, that Namek saga, which a lot of people dislike as Dragon Ball Z fans.
That's true. And, like, look, and it's not where... I haven't come into Dragon Ball where I've disliked it. Like, GT, yeah, sure, that's on the shelf of the dislike. And there's moments in there...
and that was the end of the podcast, everybody.
No, that's it. Stay with me, mate. Stay with me. That's
I love GT.
Do you?
That's one of my...
That's it. I'm out of here. I'm gone, mate. We haven't started off very well.
Super Saiyan 4 is better than Super Saiyan God.
Super Saiyan 4 is good. I feel like we're going off rails here, but I love Super Saiyan 4, and that's why I stuck around for this whole thing. Yeah, but...
it is very adventure, but in this case, it's journey across the universe to find the Dragon Ball, and with young Goku.
Yeah,
it's really Dragon Ball 2 in a sense.
Yeah. And look, maybe I have to go back and watch Dragon Ball, but like I've watched a little bit of Dragon Ball. I really should invest more time. But as a big Vegeta fan, like he's not in there, so that's sort of like I got no attraction there. Dragon Ball Z was awesome. Obviously, you got the power levels. That was one thing. I'm really going off track here, but that was one of the love things that I loved about Dragon Ball Z. Just the ability that you can track power levels, so you can actually quantify the training and the outcomes to that.
There's like nothing of that in One Piece.
Yeah. And there was nothing in that in GT anyway. It was like, he's super strong. How strong? He's really strong. How strong? He's really strong. I mean, he's really strong. You're like, get fucked. Yeah. Like, you lose track of it. So, anyway, getting back onto One Piece, man. Big storytelling, big tick of the box there. Character development, I love it. I'm like a massive fan when it comes to anime. The story is told really well, where they invest into the character development. And that doesn't have to go for like 1,000 episodes. That could be like one series of an anime that's done really well, that you get the characters.
We have got a lot better in that in modern anime, where we can now like fit good storytelling into like a small 10 to 20 episode anime, and that's it.
Yep, true.
They get even better at that in End One Piece, where they do that over 1,000 episodes of that hardcoreness, so you can imagine the kind of character development you get later in One Piece, where you have that also expertise because you have modern storytelling in anime.
No, I like it. I like it. The second reason why I cracked the seal is because I'm trying to go to Japan next year.
Yes.
And with Japan, I want the full experience. It is my first time. I'm going as a complete weeb, and I'm going to go see all the anime, all the pop culture, everything. And I don't want to miss out on that type of experience. I know with One Piece being so big, and over there it's even bigger, I want to see the posters. I want to see the cafes. I want to get it. And that was one of the things.
To the One Piece store.
Yeah, I want to do, mate, I want to do everything. I want to see it. I want to know the character. I want to feel it. And so I always felt, as an anime fan, that just didn't accept.
You were missing something.
I was just missing it. I knew I was missing something good. And that was the big thing. Like, and I knew that. And I feel like a lot of anime fans that might be listening to this may feel the same thing. And it's that thing of going, well, look, it's a sacrifice. Do I miss out on it? It's like if you never watched Dragon Ball Z and you always miss the Yamcha in the crater, sort of like pop culture reference. So, like, that was one of the things I really wanted to do that. So I wanted to get the full experience of my Japan trip in the way that I want to see it, culture, pop culture, anime, all those things as part of it. And I knew I had to invest the time in doing that. And so a combination of all those things just found me. I think it was like on an Easter Sunday. And I think I put it on socials, and I remember how excited you got. I took a photo. I literally, like, the kids were asleep. My 3-year-old was down having a sleep. And I thought, I've literally got half an hour here. What do I want to do? And I just found myself watching Netflix, and I went and I started watching One Piece again. And I took a photo on Instagram, posted it, and you were the first person that just said, yes! And I knew that would make you proud, my friend.
Yeah. Once you let anime heroine into your life, you're all good.
Oh, mate, it's a dangerous beast. And I come from that world where I am time poor. Like, literally, like I'm a husband. I've got 3 kids. I work full time. Everything's stressful and demanding. So my time, whenever I have it, is probably like late at night, and it's really like everyone's down, kids asleep. What do you choose wisely? What do you want to do? And I found ever since I've started watching One Piece, and I've gotten past a certain point from where I had jumped off previously, prematurely. I will say now, I'm in. I'm in on the journey, and it has hooked me in places where I'm like, this is my jam.
And you're not the, like, in a small group at the moment. Like, over the last 2 years, like, a lot of huge YouTuber content creators have got into it. A whole bunch of people where, like, we've come out of COVID and people are like, you know what? I'm time poor, but I'm not as time poor as I thought I was, because I don't want to miss out on things anymore, because like, I was stuck at home doing nothing, and now I know the concept of watching TV is still stuck at home and doing something, but it's like, I'm not gonna not do the thing because I'm like, I haven't got time, because like, I had a lot of time and it was shit. So let's do stuff when I've got little times to watch an episode here, or go for a walk here, or start that hobby now, and all that.
It's so hard when it comes to anime, or even just entertainment in general, whether you're into video games or movies or anime or anything like that. We are spoiled for choice.
There's so much now.
There is so much. And when it comes to the anime world, it's scary how much there is, And it's probably only been in the last, say, 6 months where Brendan, again, has gotten heavy into anime, and he's recommended some things that, like, slice of life stuff. And I've gone, I don't know, Brendan. Like, even you were the one that recommended Vinland Saga to me. And I remember looking at it going, Nato, mate, I love you, but I don't think this is my jam. And then I remember messaging you going, mate, this is sick. This is awesome. Same thing with the slice of life stuff. Like, anything that sort of hits the emotions and feels. Like, I always think of that, the Studio Ghibli, the GIF, where you got No Face just getting pounded by the waves with all the feels. Like, that's just how I feel when you get these good animes.
Like, because Japanese, actually, like, a lot of, not even just Japanese, but a lot of Eastern kind of media and TV and stuff like that have not been shy of, like, doing emotional stuff, even for, like, a kid audience, in a sense, because they respect the emotional maturity of their youth, not like how Western culture got. I don't know whether it was during the wars or something, which is wild because we sent kids to war, but whatever. That we stopped respecting the emotional maturity of our kids, and it's like, cartoons are only for kids, so we don't put anything mature in them. And we got South Park here and there during our kids, but, like, that was the only thing that was adult, that was a cartoon that was like for Western audiences, unless you ventured over to the East and got a few like animes here and there, because there was nothing emotional mature unless it was TV shows.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Live action TV shows, and even those are not that good at doing it until like very recently. They kind of got the level of like how anime's been doing it for
and even more
50 years.
Yeah, and even more recent ones, it can be a bit hit and miss, you know, depending on like who's controlling the ship on it. It's like anything, like whether you're an anime fan, whether you're a Marvel fan, DC fan or anything, you're so emotionally attached into it. You always want to see everything you love really stand out, especially for those that may not see it until it gets to like a live action where you're like, here it is, something that you might resonate with, like really compacted into a sort of like, you know, movie. Yeah, mate, I feel you. I guess most of our listeners are going to be either they've heard of One Piece, they're heavily invested in One Piece, perhaps they're all up to date. That's awesome. Or even those that have never even heard of One Piece. So I really should give a bit of a snapshot, a basic snapshot. And mate, like, you know, you will dive, as part of this podcast series, you'll dive heavy into the lore and the weaves for those, and especially myself who wants to get heavily in there. But I guess One Piece, like, it's a cultural phenomenon. I think 100% with millions of passionate fans globally. It's a no-brainer. It was created by Japan's writer and illustrator, Ichiro Oda.
Everyone just calls him
Oda. I saw that. Everyone calls him, or Oda Sensei, or your Sensei Oda.
Just Oda the God.
Okay, Oda the God.
The legend.
The legend, the myth, the man himself.
I have to send you the little documentary about him because, woof, that man has definitely got some autism or ADHD, OCD, because up until like the last, I think, 5-10 years, he was like, get up, work on One Piece for 14, 16 hours, probably eat while he was doing it, and then go to bed. Wow,
he's like the Mr. Beast of anime.
And yeah, like, you know how like the entrepreneurs like, I get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
This man literally was, until the point where his health was getting so bad. And then if anyone that's like listened to kind of the area, like writers and all that, there's been a few deaths of anime artists and writers over the few like years just because of this terrible kind of like health lifestyle.
Yeah, wow.
And a lot of people changed. The guy who did Berserk died, and that was the big one.
Oh, okay.
Because everyone was like, holy shit. And yeah, just from poor health, from like just being so into their work, that like nearly OCD-ness.
Yeah,
like,
wow.
Yeah, Oda has a family and all that, so he also had to change a lot. He's now forced to take holidays, like forces himself to take holidays. That's why there's, in more recent time, there's actually big breaks between like issues coming out, and as a fan it hurts a little bit, but also I'm like, I don't want my boy to die before I hear the end
we're happy to wait for good health, mate.
We're happy
100%.
So he lives and breathes, this is all he does. He's done it for this long. I think it was like 97, I think it started coming out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's almost been going for 26 years. Like, the man's a beast.
All he does.
Wow, there you go.
And breathes it. That's all he does. He doesn't do any other mangas, nothing. He lives and breathes it. And I love him because we've seen recently with a few writers, when they've been challenged with their works, they've doubled down by like a certain Harry Potter author.
Yeah.
With their when they were questioned, they might have wrote it in different times or something like that. Like, Oda's been writing since the 90s, and certain things were not as, you know, looked at and kind of criticized as well. There's a few like trans and drag characters that will come up in the series in earlier things. Pretty horrible representations of them.
Yeah,
like,
gotcha.
Terrible.
Yep.
And I don't know whether he took it on personally himself, but he's never talked about it and all that, because in the most recent kind of arcs and seasons, there's some fucking phenomenal trans characters. There's some gendered characters. There's just amazing stuff that he is like, you can see him.
He's evolving in his writing.
Yeah, and which is awesome, because like Japan is so isolated, and we know how like they aren't as like, they're a bit more emotionally mature than us, but they are not as culturally as mature as the rest of the world has become recently.
Yeah, okay.
Like Japan, but yet he has in his writing, and he's made characters that are so much better, and than his older characters that he had. So he's progressed, and I'm like, I respect that so because he's never talked and discussed about it. So he's just taken that information on rather than being like, oh, look what I did. Like I've improved my characters or doubled down like a Harry Potter author and being like, nah, fuck yous all.
Yeah.
Shit.
So he's grown. He's
like,
basically he's grown up in his art, really, in his story. You can see it.
One Piece.
Yeah, cool. Snapshot on it. It is a story that follows the adventures of Monkey D. Luffy, an enthusiastic young man with an aspiration of finding the legendary fabled treasure, the One Piece left by the legendary pirate, Gol D. Roger, and becoming the king of pirates. Yeah. So you pulled me up before we recorded this, which I appreciate. And so the manga's been going for almost 26 years. So it debuted in July of 1997. The anime released in 1999. So like what, 26 years, 24 years, and then for the cartoon.
For most of my life.
It's not a cartoon, it's an anime. It remains the best-selling manga series of all time, selling over 516 million worth of books. It's 20 seasons it's up to, with over 1,000 episodes released. It's done 15 movies, 40 different videos, and it's soon to be a live-action series on Netflix in 2023, which I see you've got a bit of a worried face there. So it looks like it's 8 episodes, and I had a little bit of a look.
I'm going in positive.
I like, you know what made...
terrified.
Yeah, well, you know what made me feel good is I found, when I had a look at that, because I was trying to find a trailer or something, and it's hard because I feel like there's been so many fan trailers out there. There is the god Oda has put...
Oh, I know. He loves it.
Yeah, but but he seems to be like there's a thing that I found on the internet that basically says like, we've been working on this for a long time. Like I've poured everything, my heart and soul into this series and this anime, and I want to make sure it's done right. And so he said something in the lines of going, this thing's not coming out until I'm 100% ready, which makes that like I, as a fan, I've never seen anything like that, like, you know, Cowboy Bebop, you know, like I'm not even going to talk about it, but Dragon Ball. There's no one out there, the OGs or the creators, that have really given their firm stamp of approval that they endorse it, the fans endorse it, they've been on the creative journey, and it seems like this is the case. But like from someone that knows very little about it, I mean, that's surely got to give you some confidence there too.
It gives me confidence, but I'm also trying to fight something that we do all the time where we overhype ourselves. Like we set an expectation that even nothing could achieve. Like, not even if something's good, it could never achieve the highness that you expect it to be, which is what. So that's why I'm trying to keep myself to not overhype it in my own head, but also like still worried because we've got some good ones, but we've only got good ones on things that were so niche that people didn't even know they had animes, like the Samurai X / Rurouni Kenshin live actions. They are molto bene. They actually are on Netflix if you want to check them out.
Yeah.
They are really good, but nobody really not many people watch Samurai X or what it was called in America, or Rurouni Kenshin in Japanese. But yeah, we'll see. I love the characters. I love the actors. They look awesome.
That's awesome.
I love the boat. Oh,
I've seen the boat. Yeah, I've seen the boat.
It looks so
sick.
good.
Looks sick.
And I think it's going to be covering what I'll talk about probably later when you ask about how this stuff is.
Yeah.
There is a movie that sums up the first 50 episodes.
Yeah, okay.
I think they might draw a bit from that and expand it a bit out.
Cool. I like it. Well, let me ask you this. So obviously One Piece is massive. There's a huge, phenomenal fan base for it.
Really the best-selling manga every year in Japan. Not just over time. It's just
consistently.
It's number one usually every year.
That's crazy. And to give you, and even looking at this, and we sort of talked about this, like to get past this wall in the sense of going, I think there's 1,000, and as of today, 1,061 episodes.
Not enough.
Not enough. But if you look at Nato, you're coming from the perspective of you're up to date. I'm coming from the perspective of going Mount Everest with thongs on is a long trek. So 1,061 episodes, which if you have a look at that, the episodes go for roughly about 22, 24 minutes. So let's go 24 minutes. So that is a total of 25,464 minutes, which is 424 hours, which, you know, if you're an everyday person and you got the time, you can smash it out in 17 days if you just watch it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, that's pretty, you know, that's pretty common. No problem. Unfortunately, I'm not Superman, and I don't have that. So what I have to do is I'm trying to watch 3 episodes a day, which is achievable. So I'm in there and I'm doing that at night times, which if I stay...
That's a good slug.
I thought so.
I would suggest like 1 or 2 episodes a week for somebody. But like if you want to, you know, get it all consumed before you go to Japan, like I suppose that's what you need.
Well, this is the thing, Nato. So my calculations are based on this. I want to go to Japan within around about a year, probably less. So I probably need to, you know, lift those numbers. But even if I watch 3 episodes a day, every day, it's at 353 days. So it's slightly under a year. So to give you perspective, for me to catch up, and the series is still going, so it probably won't be completely up to date. But for anyone that wants to watch it 1 or 2 a week, as you mentioned, all the best. Good luck. 2 years? I don't know. More than 2 years. It's going to be a long time.
Minimum, I would give you a minimum. Get up to the time skip at minimum to yourself before going to Japan.
Gotcha.
So, like, if you get near the end of the goal and you're like, holy moly, there's still so much to go, slug it out till you get to the end of the, what did they name it? It was like it is called, I think it's the rookie era.
And this is the thing.
First half of the Grand Line.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the best I can to catch up, and it's going to take me
516. I think is the last episode before the time skip.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I've got a long way to go. I'm at episode 70 now, so let's. It's a long way. But
you're into the good arc. You're into Alabasta.
Yeah.
Like, which is this saga that, like, the one that you had the feels for. I'll keep non-spoiler here. The one that you had the feels for. That's your first moment where, like, if you get to that and you finish that part, and you're like, nah, this is not really for me.
Yeah.
Then it's not really.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess that's one of the things that I wanted to share on this podcast is, whilst I'm only one person and an opinion, I think by that time, my perspective is, again, no spoilers, once you get to that point when we have a chat about that, if you're not hooked, if you're not invested, or at least if you're not staying on board and you feel that it's going to be a good investment, probably not for you. Maybe. I'm throwing it out there right now.
There's one more, like, Hail Mary that I've got for him.
But how far away is it, Nato? How much time do I have to invest to get there?
No. It's something else that you can consume to get you up to a...
Oh, right. Okay. And the other thing too is that, like, even from a time perspective, and again, we talked about, like, how long this thing is and how it can be paralyzing to sort of even start this. Like, when you think about it, I had a look at this. So we've just talked about Dragon Ball before. So, like, Dragon Ball has 153 episodes. Dragon Ball Z has 291. Dragon Ball GT has 64. Dragon Ball Super, at this stage, going to grow, has 131. Put them all together. That's a huge amount of episodes. 639.
Look, I'll counter that. Each special edition, non-uncut Lord of the Rings movie is about 4 or 5 hours movie. Would you tell somebody not to watch them because they are that long? No, they're fucking masterpieces.
Yeah, they are good. They are good.
One Piece is the TV version of the Lord of the Rings extended cut movies where, like, bro, even the extended cuts still don't feel like they're enough of those movies.
Mate, you're very biased. I need you to come in here with a bit of constructive feedback on some areas. This is we want to do a long podcast. So the only other thing I was just going to mention on that there is that when people sort of say, like, do you like Dragon Ball Z? And I go, yeah, I love Dragon Ball Z. They say, would you recommend it? I'm always hesitant at the start where I'm going, it's like, I would recommend it, but be mindful that it is a time sink. And that's 291 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm saying. But, like, again, like, this whole part of the podcast is about talking about where those milestones are to sort of, like, keep pushing through. So it leads me on to my next part that I wanted to talk about. So One Piece. You know my journey in One Piece, pretty straightforward. Started on the couch in Easter. Where's your One Piece journey start? And why do these fans feel this is such a special anime?
So I have, like...
And keep in mind, we are time sensitive. I'm sorry to butt you in. I know you'll talk for days about this.
That's fair. Always reel in the ADHD boy.
I love you, mate.
8 hours about everything. No, I have 2 kind of, like, roots in. Like, one was one of my grandparents. Her kid did live in Japan, so he actually brought some One Piece mangas back, like, just before the anime, I think, came out. And so I got to have a quick read through them. Like, they were his, so I didn't get to keep them and all that. And I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. But then it came on to Cheese TV in Australia. I think it took over the Dragon Ball Z slot at one point.
Right.
Like, time slot.
Gotcha.
And that's where I got into it a bit more, and I was like, this is really good. And then I think there's that quick gap between where that kind of, like, you know, went off TV because it wasn't popular in the West. Like, it never took off at One Piece. For some weird, I think because Dragon Ball Z just had so much of everybody's claws into it that people didn't want to give their time to something else. And we'll talk about it probably a lot during, like, episodes and chapters, but One Piece isn't a fighting shonen. Like, there's still battles with a boss, but usually Luffy wins in a weird, wacky way rather than being like, oh, I've got the power that overwhelms you, and he comes up with crazy and weird strategies, and it's never about the fight in One Piece, ever. The fight usually is just to continue the story, not the story leads up to the fight.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes sense?
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, I 100% agree on that.
And I think that's where a lot of people have bounced off it recently, where they've come in with, like, a lot of, you know, even modern ones like Demon Slayer and stuff like that, that still have amazing stories, but their battles are also the important part of it. And it feels like, oh, these are dumb. And they're nearly making fun of the fight. Like, I don't like this, because we all get used to seeing that. So, yeah. But then there's that little gap. And then I think when we could, you know, pirate... no, it actually wasn't pirate. It was like, you know, we could pretend we were in America.
Oh, yeah.
We got streaming services here, and then like things like Crunchyroll and all that in America were popping off, and I actually got to go back into One Piece again and, like, smash it out. So that's my, like, two things. So I kind of nearly was there at the start, had my little break because I had no way to consume it and get it.
Yeah.
And then once it was available back to me, it was like, oh, hello, my boy.
Yeah, I can never remember this on Cheese TV. I was a big Cheese TV fan. I used to watch the Pokemon, the Dragon Ball Z, and I do not remember this on Cheese TV, but I remember when I started watching this, the first couple episodes in, and then you go, shit, there's a lot of swearing in this, and then there's like, oh, there's plenty of blood as well, too. Like, and I'm thinking, like, how did they get away with this? Surely this wasn't on Cheese TV. Maybe this was on, like, what was it, Cartoon Network? You had, like, Adult Swim or something like that?
No, it was because the translation and dub you see now is a new company going right back to the start and giving you just the dub on top of it. No editing, no nothing. That the original 4Kids people, like, because they had a lot of the licenses from, like, they had Pokemon. I think they had Dragon Ball Z. That's why if you go watch Dragon Ball Z now on streaming services, you're like, I don't remember seeing Gohan's penis, and I don't remember seeing like the bleeding gap of blood in what's the name's chest. Is because
and Vegeta giving the finger and all this sort of like little bits. Swearing
4Kids
stuff.
edited all that out, and like there's swearing in Dragon Ball Z and everything, and none of that was there when we watched it on Cheese TV because 4Kids edited it all out. Yeah,
okay. And just to jump in for a minute and sideswipe a little bit, I was talking to a friend the other day that was getting into Dragon Ball Z, and he's like, I haven't seen it in years. And he's like, but where do I find a version of the Cheese TV version where you had, like, the original soundtrack? And I'm like, how good was that? Like, Rock the Dragon and shit like that. That was so good. Anyway, Rock the Dragon. Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, so good. And so why do you think One Piece is different? Why do you think it's so special? Why do you think it's sort of stood the test of time, has the longevity it has above anyone else? What's so special about this thing?
It really sums up that, like, line of it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
The journey.
That is One Piece, like, elevator pitch.
Are we going to, and I don't know the answer, so it's rhetorical, but are we going to get there and there's just going to be like, we're going to get to find One Piece and it's just going to be a note saying, I hope you had a good time? Who knows? I'm throwing it out there. 70 episodes in.
We've seen a flash, like in more recent, we've seen a flashback of, you know, Gold D. Roger getting to apparently where the One Piece is.
Okay.
And all they did was laugh.
Right.
And that was it. That's all you see, and then it cuts to the next scene, and you're like, and then that's why they named the Laugh Town, the last island, Laugh Town.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, and it's just like, what do you mean? What does that mean?
Nah. So it's the journey. And what about like the storytelling in that?
So this is not spoilery.
Yep.
But it is a little maybe to somebody.
Okay.
There's two characters you met in the first kind of like 3 episodes. Kobe.
Yep.
And what's his name? Let's see. I wrote it in my note. Helmeppo, which is the boss of the bad guy in that first, the guy with the axe hand.
Oh yeah. Very early days. Yep.
Yes, they'll come back into the story probably episode 400.
Far out.
Yes.
Okay, that's why I've always got to be. And I remember because you gave me this bit of a heads up here about like just be mindful of characters that you meet along the way because they do come back and they play a good story.
And it's not in a like, hey,
I'm back.
Oh, they've left him with a cliffhanger. Ooh, it's just like no, their story's finished, and then all of a sudden you see them again, and they've got a new story, or it's continued on for the story that they finished, and it's like, or Oda, the masterful goddamn genius, leaves so many little like breadcrumbs for the stories that will evolve 600 episodes later, and he like this world building that he does, and you don't realize he's setting stuff up even in the first 5 episodes that you can go back, and that's why when you rewatch again you're like, I knew everything even at the start.
Wow. How old is Oda?
Actually know.
I'm worried because I feel like there's a lot of key person risk on this one person with this anime. If something happens, we need to protect. We need to bubble wrap this bloke.
There's too many episodes, and I'm like, well, he just mentioned like we're in the final saga.
Oh, okay. So there is a finishing line. It's like not. It's that
terrified. I'm like, this so like no.
Someone will do a spin-off. Someone will do something.
He's 48 years old.
Oh, is he? Is that it?
Yes.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. I thought he was like. Oh, he's got heaps of longevity. Oh, mate, keep going.
No, that doesn't mean shit.
No, it doesn't? Oh, no, because of his health and all the rest of it. Yeah, right. So it's like dog years type thing. Usually. Yeah, okay. I understand.
Because they live terrible, terrible lives. And that's why we're all happy that he's living healthier and exercise. Because now he writes on a bike. On a little like...
Yeah, but they all ride on bikes. Oh, but that's probably a good thing for him to ride on the bike.
Yeah, because he's actually exercising.
He's actually exercising.
Crunched over a bench for
26 years with someone whipping him. He's in, I was like, oh, well, that was close. I was going to go spoiler territory there. Yeah, cool. All right. So it's very...
He is like the character where I could see you and
going,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Good times. We've got good stuff ahead. Cool. Man, I agree. I'm already seeing, again, 70 episodes in, I'm already seeing the hooks. I'm seeing where they've taken a lot of care in the character development, the storytelling. They play on the emotion and the feels, which I love. I'm all about that when a story's told really well and only grows and develops over time. Mate, you've got me. I'll always sort of try and make time for it.
You will cry over an inanimate object in the future. That's all I will say.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
That's how well he makes you care about everything in that world.
Yeah. Oh, mate, we'll talk about it in the future episodes, but that one time. And the fact that I'm part of this, I feel like I'm sort of got my membership. I'm still very low ranked. I'm like the grunt of this whole clan, but
you're in there from the start. You're all part, like, just like Luffy when he meets a random person, he's like, join my crew, and the rest of the crew are like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
No, that's cool. I love the inclusion now where I'm getting the memes, I'm getting the scenes, all these scenes back in the day where it got shared on like socials and that. I'm like, like you can tell, like I know this is a really powerful thing to a lot of people, but it means nothing to me and I wish it did. Yeah. And I'm like, but again, I don't know, is this episode 700?
Spoil One Piece too much. Because, like even if I told you stuff and I showed you stuff, it doesn't mean anything because it's the journey getting there that's actually the big thing. And
it really was the build-up.
Oh, now I understand why this is an emotional moment. Even if I showed you, you're like, okay. Yeah. Even when somebody died, like I actually know the deaths are the only thing that can be spoiled for you because you don't want to know who dies because there is hardly ever a death.
Yeah, okay.
And the deaths that do happen will rock you to your fucking core and you cry like
so we're not doing a Game of Thrones here where everyone's dying. You don't expect it.
No.
Nah, cool.
No, it's the opposite where because nobody dies, when somebody dies...
It's like, oh shit moment. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And right, okay. Fuck. All right, good stuff looking ahead. All right, so also looking at part of this is that for this podcast, we're doing it for ourselves, first and foremost. Yes. You and I were going back and forth on social medias. You're very much like, how you going? Where you up to? And I'm like, oh, mate, hit me. And then when I get to a certain part, I'm like, yeah, mate, this part here, and I send you a screenshot. I'm like, I'm balling.
Yeah.
It is so good. It is so good in those parts. So I wanted to...
You kind of got to talk about the lead up to it.
Yeah,
it's not just
yeah.
like, you know, like a Dragon Ball Z fight. You're like, oh, the fight against Vegeta and stuff like that. It's like, you can't talk about like that in One Piece. You're just like... I have to talk about the whole saga leading up to that moment and why that moment was emotional to me.
And that's why, like, again, Dragon Ball, plenty of references here, but I think that's the reason why in the Dragon Ball Z series, Namek and the Frieza saga was my favorite. As much as everyone hates it, because it is the biggest time sink, and it is like, as a kid watching Cheese TV, you're like, please, for the next 20 minutes, can you not show me Namek's seas and the sky, you know, because I need to go to school and I need to work out something.
That made you emotional.
But that's it.
People don't realize that that's why they cared so much about Super Saiyan 1.
Yeah.
There was so much build-up.
Yeah, it was. And also, like, I always feel that part of the area there was a bit of a journey of Vegeta's journey. Like, he was always the chip on the shoulder, you know, and he had the most character progression in those series. So, like, this isn't the Dragon Ball Z. No. Okay, I feel like we're going to make another podcast. So my mindset for this podcast is, first and foremost, it's a platform for you and I just to rant and have good conversations about this, especially when we get into the actual episodes. Cannot wait. Yeah. The second part is, obviously, for anyone that, like yourself, is a big One Piece fan that may be up to date or pretty close to, it's always nice to go back and see from the perspective of someone that's watching it for the first time. Like, countless...
It's that, like, I think we talked about it before of, like, the biggest thing of, like, if you could erase your memory and go back and rewatch. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Watch it with somebody that hasn't seen it for the first time and get their thoughts, their emotions.
I love it.
We're living that moment.
I love it. And I love those videos. You ever see them on socials where someone's watching Naruto and those moments where you're talking about like deaths and things like that. And they're like, oh yeah, let's watch this episode. And like, you know, it's coming. Or you wait for a person like you to me with One Piece where you're like, they're getting close. And then it's just like, you send that like tiered emoji and you're like, yes. And then you have a chat about it. So no, it's good. But again, like, it's the closest thing when you see all these memes about going back in time. And if you could watch an anime, you'll watch something for the very first time, what would it be? One Piece is always one of the things that I always see. And again, it's one of those motivations to say, like, why am I on this journey? The third thing I should say, sorry, as I get a phone call, I want to also, for anyone that was in my situation, like where I was the walls were up. You weren't coming in. Like, I was very much pushing it. I had accepted it a long time ago. One Piece was just one of those animes that would just have to go by. Skip. Yeah, it was just a skip. You know, it was too hard. The amount of, like, I don't have the time, the amount of numbers, all the rest of that I've already said before. And I had watched it. Like, truth be told, like, as I said on the other podcast, Brendan's, I had watched it. I'd watched, I don't know what it was, 30, 40 episodes until it, like, and nothing clicked for me. Yeah. I get it. You know, we were building stories up. We were building the characters.
Yeah,
the characters.
Building.
Yeah. And the characters at that time just didn't resonate with me. And they might do with someone else. But there was a moment there where we'll talk in future episodes where it clicked. And once it clicked, it had me. Where I could not...
And that's the hardest thing, because, like, that's the meme of, like, I've got to watch 40 episodes for it to click. And I'm like, no, because it's not a waste, those 40 episodes. Like, they are...
It's not a waste.
No. Yeah. It's not like, they're shit episodes. Like, you might not resonate them, but you, as I said, the first 3 episodes, they'll introduce characters that are very important to the whole series, and you don't know that until they show up again.
It's true. But the psychology of us is, when you've got so much to watch and so little time, I think we all make this acceptance where we go, whether it's, you know, a TV series or anything like that, or given a video game, you basically go, look, I'll give it 3 episodes, I'll give it half an hour, I'll give it whatever. If it doesn't capture me, I'm done. I'll move on, sort of thing. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing with One Piece is it's all building the story for the journey. And that short piece of the 3, you know, if you've got to watch 2 episodes of a series that goes for 8 or 9 episodes, it pretty much that translates into like, 30, 40 episodes of One Piece. So, you know, just be mindful of it. But again, if you get to that point and it doesn't hit you, or you get to these points, multiple, and they don't hit you, maybe that's an indication of something. A couple of areas there where I think those that will listen to the podcast will get value and enjoyment, and hopefully, we can, crack a few smiles and start some laughter with those that listen. The only one of the last things that I just want to talk about for the first episode is more so, or two things really. One, the elephant in the room. At this point in time, we don't have a name for the podcast, so it's the Untitled One Piece podcast. Originally, I
suggested Red Line.
Yeah,
but you don't understand the Red Line.
I don't get it, so I don't know. Yeah.
So
you
I might have to do an episode of explaining the world.
No, maybe so. You pitch your idea, and I'll pitch my idea, and see if we get any feedback, or we'll just make a decision on the way.
Yeah,
so, what's yours? Go for yours.
The Red Line Down Under. As in, because the Red Line is the huge mountain range that goes all the way through the One Piece. It splits the Grand Line in half, so you have two parts of the Grand Line.
Yeah.
It also is, you've seen it, that's what Reverse Mountain is. That's the huge, waterfall they had to do to get into it, because everyone who knows there's not a flat earther knows the world is round, so the Red Line goes all the way around, so the two sides of, that's the start and the half point of One Piece.
Yep.
What is your one?
I was trying to find that message that I actually sent to you, because it was something in the lines of going I can't find it. Well, I'll paraphrase it. It was basically hey, mate, thinking in the car of a podcast. I'm thinking of the name of the podcast, something like Guy Watches Anime for the First Time with a super fan, One Piece fan. And it was just typical, long-winded anime.
Of a modern anime.
Yeah, it totally is. That's what I'm saying. What's your podcast about?
That's counteractive to One Piece.
No, it's
just two words.
It's two. Yeah, I know. That's right. But it's pretty much easy. You just point at the box. It says what it does on the box. Guy watches anime for the first time, talks about it with a super fan. So, but I don't know. I don't know how that will work on socials, or even if we're allowed to have.
I think it would be horrible if you take up half the tweet talking.
We'll just abbreviate it all. It'll be fine. But I don't know. I think yours is in the winning. Anyway, we'll come up with a name, and we'll come up with a logo. We'll do all the work. We just wanted to jump on here and just do the first recording, get stuff started, not being paralysed by that as well.
Before we go too tangent-y, I need to add something.
Yes,
to that,
go for it.
The jump off points and all that. I referenced it a few times before. It's not a good way to get into it. But I use this as a Hail Mary, where one of my exes we were watching and she wasn't really into it because she didn't actually like the animation style.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And, as you said, it's a long chunk to get to points where it finally starts clicking with you. Mm-hmm. They've summed up the first couple of sagas into movies. The first movie is Tales of the East Blue, which will do the first 50 episodes. So pretty much all the episodes that are in, and it's bite-sized chunks of so you get the Luffy arc, you get the Zoro arc, you get pretty much all the characters you meet in the East Blue. I don't want to spoil too many. And then the next movie is the Alabasta one, which does it all the way up to episode 130. You can watch 2-3 movies and they will get you 130 episodes in if you want to try and get in a good chunk, so you have a bit of here's the plot notes and you got to see the characters, and then you can start from 130 episode onwards. And if you really enjoy it, then you can go back and watch the episodes to get more of probably the little breadcrumbs of stories and moments that fill you more. The one that made you have the big feels doesn't hit as hard if you watch the movie, because you haven't got as lot of build up.
Yeah, okay.
You see it all happens, but it's not 30 moment. So that's the double-edged sword of the movies.
Yeah,
it's done pretty well, but it doesn't give you time to fall in love with these characters. So when these story moments hit, they hit hard.
Yeah, gotcha. We sort of have a conversation before the recording about the fillers. And so, you'd sent me through the list of the fillers, in the sense of going, if you wanted to speed up the journey, you could do that. Yeah. I started watching it going, it's a bit hard to, every episode I've watched, I feel like it's going to come back at some point in time. So it's hard to determine whether it's a filler, where a character's going to come back.
Fillers don't come into episode 54.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's the reason why I probably had such a good run.
Yeah, 54 to 60 are pure fillers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess if anyone wants to sort of bypass it, there's that way without losing connection with the story.
Yeah. I think there's about 200 episodes total of fillers.
Not bad.
So it does chunk it down.
That's about 20%. That's pretty good. Good size.
Yeah.
And so I guess what we'll look to do, and jump in if I'm incorrect, is that we're going to try and do, I don't know, we're going to try and do, once we start releasing this, we'll try and do like, I don't know, weekly or fortnightly. We'll work it out.
Probably fortnightly.
Probably fortnightly, yeah, I like it.
Give you time to watch episodes, and if people are watching along, gives them time to watch episodes before we talk about the next set of episodes.
No one's going to watch three episodes a day. Got to be mindful of that.
Yes.
So let's try and target a fortnight, putting us both accountable and on the hotspot there. And we'll probably look to do, I guess what we talked about is that we want to break this up in arcs. So, yeah, so we'll if the arc's short, then we'll marry it up with a second arc. So we'll do 2 arcs in one, which will probably be the next episode that we'll do. We'll do the Romance Dawn arc as well as the Orange Town arc. And then if the arcs are larger, then we'll jump in.
We'll split it up. Yeah. The Alabaster arc, the saga's huge. But then even when we get to the Alabaster arc, I think it's about 40 episodes. So we'll probably have to break that down into maybe 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I do want to I don't want to get arcs too big where we're sort of like missing out on the conversation pieces of it too. Yes. So no, that sounds good. Mate, I think that's it for me. Is there anything else that you want to give a shout out or run through before we shut this first inaugural episode down?
I think I talked about everything. Do we want to say who should, if you liked X, you should, what things you should watch One Piece if you liked or something like that?
Mate, if you can. I don't have the experience yet to justify that one. What do you reckon?
As I mentioned earlier, if you're going in looking for cool fights, you'll get them here and there, but that's not what this anime is about. I'm not saying the fights are bad. They are actually really good fights, especially later. There's a fight in one of the later sagas that's probably nearly better than most anime fights recently. But it is about adventure, and it's not it ties into the meaning of the show as well. But it's not about getting to the end of One Piece. You don't want to get to the end of watching One Piece as a viewer.
I want to try and get close.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've got a long way to go, but
and that's what I mean. The way, don't look at it as I've got to finish 100 episodes. It's if you get 500 episodes in and had a good time, that's what One Piece wants from you.
Yeah,
it doesn't want you. It's not get to the end. It's enjoy as much episodes as you want and have fun with them. It's the meaning of the show, and that's how that anime is. It's not about watching all probably eventually 2,000 episodes of One Piece. It's enjoying One Piece.
Yeah, and I think that's probably something from my perspective, and you can hear it from even me on this podcast and the way that I've sort of been speaking, is that I personally have got to change that mindset. I've been on that, had the walls up for so long, and I'm, breaking them down. But even then, I'm still I've got to enjoy the journey, and it's not about just rushing it as well. I want to take my time with it, and I don't want to set any sort of deadlines either. So yeah, it's big, but like anything, you just bite, and then you slowly just keep biting, and you work your way through it. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm enjoying the journey, and I like doing this, mate. So thank you so much for coming on, in the sense of you are going to come on every month. Every fortnight that we do this, so you're not going anywhere, my friend. And
I can't believe we've got to an hour already.
I know.
I don't feel like we discussed anything, but we already did an hour. So
it's good. It's good. I love it. All right, let's close this up, mate. Thank you so much again. And I think I've already wrapped up the socials. You at Iknownato, me at Dane Peavy. I think we're most probably on Twitter and Instagram. Probably. What about you, mate?
Twitter, yeah.
Yeah,
All
Twitter.
on Twitter.
Still on Twitter, yeah. So you're not jumping off that.
Yeah,
Can't.
I don't know.
Anyway, where are you going to go?
I don't like Instagram for this kind of stuff. I like viewing on Instagram. I don't like being viewed.
Yeah, fair enough.
Twitter's come discuss with me, come talk with me. Whatever you want with and all that. So.
Mate, I have no idea how to use Snapchat or TikTok. There's enough stuff going around, so I just don't know. That's it, mate. All the best. Thank you so much again for your time, mate. Let's catch up, and I'll see you on the socials.
No, thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours. All right. Let's get into it. All right, mate. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Pere. Pere. Pere.
もしもし俺はモンキー D ルフィ